Ella arrived in the old part of the city, just as the morning light began to spill between the buildings, brushing the cobblestones with gold. The district was known for its artists. Not the ones who filled galleries or auction houses, but those who created art in the wild, in alleys and underpasses, on sidewalks and shutters. Murals, music, movement. Everything here was an offering to the street. She'd heard about this place from a friend, who described it as a canvas that never stopped breathing. Her first encounter was with a saxophone player. He stood on a corner near a bakery, hat tilted low, eyes closed, coaxing slow, syrupy notes from his instrument. The world around him slowed down. Pedestrians paused. Even the pigeons seemed to wait for the next note. Ella dropped a coin into his open case, where it landed beside a folded sketch of the city skyline. He opened his eyes just long enough to nod. She continued walking. A few blocks down, she came upon a group of dancers in an open square. They weren't part of any formal troupe, just friends, moving together with an energy that was half choreography, half conversation. Their sneakers slid on the stone, hands slicing air, bodies turning with fluid defiance. One of them noticed her watching and smiled, inviting her in with a gesture. She declined but smiled back, then sat, notebook in hand. She wrote, "The street teaches you to move without waiting for permission." Further on, she found a wall being painted. It was massive, a 3-story brick facade transformed into a story. A woman stood high on scaffolding, brush in hand, filling in the folds of a robe that wrapped around a figure half real, half dream. Below, a man mixed paint in large buckets, humming. Ella asked if she could watch. "Only if you tell us a story," the man said. So she did. A short one, from her travels. About a bird that followed her through 3 cities. The woman painting paused to laugh. The mural wasn't finished, but it didn't matter. Nothing here was ever finished. That was the point. Down an alley, she found poetry on a wall, handwritten in chalk, a verse about rain and mothers and the smell of oranges. The words trembled slightly in the breeze. She stood there a long time. In a small tunnel beneath an overpass, 2 children were drawing stars with crayons, filling the ceiling with constellations. Their father sat nearby, playing guitar. Not for money, just because. At midday, Ella bought noodles from a vendor cart and ate sitting on the curb, listening to a man play the hang drum. The notes rang out like water drops in a cave, echoing and round. He had a sign beside him, "For the music in your bones." She smiled. The afternoon brought more color. A man on stilts passed by, painting tiny birds on lamp posts. A woman in a bright red dress spun in slow circles, holding a long ribbon that painted the air. A chalk artist sketched a girl reading a book beneath a tree, and when Ella looked closer, she saw that the book in the drawing was open to a page she herself had written years ago. She asked him how he knew. He just winked. "The streets remember," he said. She wrote, "Art belongs to everyone, and to no one. It sits where it's needed, and stays until the rain." At sunset, the whole district seemed to glow. The bricks, the paint, the glass, the fabric, it all came alive in amber light. Drummers gathered near the fountain. Dancers returned. The saxophone player from earlier now played with a violinist, their melodies twining like old friends. Ella stood in the middle of it all, letting it wash over her. The city was singing, not with voices but with expression, with intention, with joy. She walked back through the same streets, now altered. The mural had a new stroke. The chalk poem had a new stanza. The girl reading in the chalk drawing was now smiling. Someone had added wings. At the edge of the district, she looked back once more. She wrote, "Street art is not made to last. It's made to live, to move through a moment, and leave behind a feeling." And as she disappeared into the night, she whispered, Thank you for making the city speak.